Philippines is such a pathetic and hopeless hellhole.
We look forward to the new jobs, the new sectors, the new opportunities that are waiting for us and for the Philippines.
A country that is incapable of creating enough decent paying jobs for its people.
I called for the second round of the Job Summit to focus on overseas employment.
We are a hopelessly impoverished country that relies on exporting its people abroad as OFWs.
I really want to earn. So I can go home and be with my family. That's the sacrifices that I'm doing right now.
Is it any wonder why our real unemployment rate in the country is not just around 3.2%? I think the real unemployment rate in the Philippines is around 40%, or probably even more. So many of our policymakers and pundits have been stupidly and ideologically fixated on the protectionist Filipino first policy.
The Filipino first policy of this administration is designed to regain economic independence.
Pathetic! Filipino first is quickly becoming Philippines last. Is this what we want for the Philippines, folks? Aren't we going to try to fix this?
Orion Perez is the Philippines' leading expert in constitutional reform, known for his sharp insights and engaging storytelling. His news approach combines thorough research with a unique conversational style that draws viewers in, bringing both authority and approachability to his anchor role. A polyglot and polymath, Orion was the standout grand finalist on Battle of the Brains Season 1. As a longtime OFW in Singapore, he worked as an IT project manager and tech consultant, gaining deep insights into how countries like Singapore achieved success. His expertise in root cause analysis, honed through his IT career, continues to inform his views. Orion is also the principal co-founder of the Correct movement, advocating for much-needed reforms in the country.
At the very root of our many visible problems is massive poverty caused by massive unemployment in the Philippines. So here's how it works. Before we begin, guys, we're doing our very best to put out really great content out there. So we need you to not just watch our videos, but we need you to share our videos, and we also need you to become subscribers of our videos. We need you to subscribe, follow, do whatever you can, share, be active participants in our channel. That way, you support us in our quest to come up with really great content. Thank you very much. The Philippines is a hopeless hellhole. Let's face it, folks. We are a hopelessly impoverished, hopelessly pathetic country that relies on exporting its people abroad as OFWs.
I called for the second round of the Job Summit to focus on overseas employment.
First reason is to get job and get high salary.
I need to do something for me to earn big.
Korea is the best. It is the place to be. To earn money, para makapagpatayo ng bahay. Korea is the best country.
Seafarers, nurses, engineers, IT professionals, architects, cooks, waiters, domestic helpers, bar girls, prostitutes, and even drug mules. A country that is incapable of creating enough decent paying jobs for its people. Pathetic! All right, I got that off my chest. I said that because if you honestly and objectively look around you, it's true. We are a country that has repeatedly been unable to solve the most fundamental economic issues.
The January unemployment and underemployment figures in the Philippines rise.
The Philippines' unemployment rate jumped to 3.9% in March.
The rapid increase in prices of goods can slow the country's economic growth until next year.
We look forward to the new jobs, the new sectors, the new opportunities that are waiting for us and for the Philippines.
Hopeless! All we do is look at surface issues and symptoms, and we try to cover those up with what are supposed to be temporary, symptom-suppressing band-aids. At the very root of our many visible problems is massive poverty caused by massive unemployment in the Philippines. So here's how it works. Poverty is the default economic state. Everyone is poor until they gain wealth. Either they're among the very few who are lucky enough to inherit wealth and build on top of it, or like the vast majority of us, they have to build it from scratch by working hard to convert their labor and skills into money, and if possible, invest their gains so that the money they've accumulated can grow. Some people convert their labor and skills into money by being regular employees, while others with the know-how and startup capital start businesses which hopefully succeed and allow them to have a steady flow of income. And hopefully, they can create jobs for other people. Now, a society that has the right economic system and many other right systems in place will make it very easy for hardworking and smart working people to gain enough wealth so that most of them can easily get out of poverty. That is where the Philippines is such a pathetic and hopeless hellhole.
Makaraos sa araw-araw na pamumuhay. Kaya dahil mahirap talagang buhay ngayon, lahat po ginagawa para makaahon.
We have the wrong systems.
Yung iba po, hindi na tumatanggap, marami na kasi kinukuha, meron na.
Kasi daming aplikante kasi.
For all of what appears to pass off as a supposedly well-functioning economy on paper, in reality, we have a pathetic economic system in which jobs are woefully scarce, and this is clearly evident in the extremely low wages that Filipinos make in the general job market. Remember the law of supply and demand? When there are way too many job seekers and too few jobs available, we end up with extremely low wages. Why? Because if an employer posts one job opening and there are 300 people applying for that single job, that employer can afford to be extremely picky and keep salaries pathetically low. The employer can try to lessen the number of applicants by setting up a huge number of extra criteria and requirements, such as having a college degree, certain years of work experience, age limits, a height requirement, and even requiring a pleasing personality, which is just another way of saying good looking. So for one pathetic minimum wage job, the applicants would have had to meet so much in terms of criteria just to get the chance to be interviewed. In some cases, an instant tiebreaker exists if an applicant has someone that the employer personally knows who's endorsing that applicant. That's known as a backer. This pathetic situation where there are so many requirements and qualifications for job openings whose wage rates are so pathetically and abysmally low happens because we have way too many job seekers and way too few jobs available. No wonder millions of Filipinos see no economic future for themselves unless they leave the country to find work overseas or emigrate permanently to greener pastures. This is why many Filipinos, deep down, think that the Philippines is so pathetic and hopeless. Look at the reverse, which is what happens in more developed countries like Singapore. They have so many more jobs than there are job seekers, so many of these jobs end up paying much higher wages as companies compete against each other to attract applicants to come over and work for them. Again, the law of supply and demand. In Singapore, the job openings far outnumber the number of local citizens looking for jobs in the workplace, such that the country has to import something like around 30 to 40% of their entire workforce from overseas. So how did the Philippines become so economically pathetic and hopeless? Let's just say that we got here because so many of our policymakers and pundits for the longest time have been stupidly and ideologically fixated on their protectionist Filipino first policy.
The Filipino first policy of this administration is designed to regain economic independence.
This policy aims to discourage foreign investors from participating in the Philippine economy because of this irrational fear that these foreigners will take over our country. Never mind that these foreign investors are willing to come to the Philippines, create jobs for Filipinos, teach and train Filipinos on new technologies, global best practices, and methodologies from advanced countries, and pay Filipinos good wages, usually better wages than what Filipino businesses pay Filipino employees. It is this policy, nay, this mindset, that is the basis for numerous anti-foreign direct investment restrictions. We have some of these restrictions in our legislation, but the most damaging of these restrictions are the restrictions we placed in our Constitution. Why? Because you are never supposed to put numerical economic restrictions in the Constitution in the first place. Constitutions are supposed to be static. If conditions change, it's extremely difficult to modify constitutional restrictions. In Southeast Asia, no, in the entire world, We are the only country that has placed numerical economic restrictions in the Constitution. No one else does that. So even if we try our very best to attract job-creating international investors and global companies to come into the Philippines and create jobs, the very first thing they do is to compare our Constitution with the constitutions of our next-door neighbors. They look at the constitutions of Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam, and they compare them with our Constitution. And the very first thing that happens is that the Philippines usually gets eliminated from the short list. Filipino first is quickly becoming Philippines last. And it's all self-inflicted. We put those restrictions in our Constitution. Is it thus any wonder why our level of foreign direct investment inflows have generally tended to be very low? Is it any wonder why our real unemployment rate in the country is not just around 3.2% as the authorities would like to claim? If we were to be really honest about it, I think the real unemployment rate in the Philippines is around 40% or probably even more. Go to the rural areas and look at how many households are actually propped up by OFW remittances, with a lot of the people in those households being jobless and idle and depending solely on the money their overseas family members send back. In many of these households, they have a sari-sari store funded by the OFW and the family, and everyone else in the home watches over the store. But aren't most of these people actually unemployed? All those watch your car boys asking for coins after they help you park your car are, in reality, unemployed. Think of all the OFWs and overseas Filipinos, all 15 million of them. If they all came back to the Philippines, they'd either be unemployed or they'd likely take other people's jobs away from them, causing all those displaced people to become unemployed. Listen, Filipinos, massive unemployment, which is really largely hidden because many unemployed people are somehow able to get by because of OFW remittances from relatives and family members, causes so many other problems and symptoms. Corruption, crime, vote buying, broken families resulting from OFWs being away from their spouses and families for such a long time, the proliferation of many dynasties, you name it. So many of our problems are the result of our massive poverty problem caused by our anti-foreign investment economic system. This is why systemic root cause solutions need to happen. This is why getting rid of the anti-foreign investment restrictions in the Constitution is absolutely necessary if we are serious about bringing in millions of decent-paying international jobs and decisively solving our massive and chronic unemployment and poverty problem. But hardly anyone, except for a small handful of dedicated advocates, are focusing on such real solutions. So the end result is that the Philippines remains an economically pathetic and hopeless country, such that so many Filipinos want to leave for greener pastures. Is this what we want for the Philippines, folks? Aren't we going to try to fix this? If you don't want the Philippines to remain a pathetic and hopeless country, let us all please correct the Constitution and get rid of all anti-foreign investment restrictions in it. My name is Orion Perez Dumdum for PGMA.